The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is, please note.
Okay. So, one may ask, what are we doing? But, of course, we can ask, what is anyone doing? And if we think about it very carefully, then we realize that we all want to grow. Just like if we grow plants. Some people are farmers or gardeners, and they like to do that because they like to see the plant grow. And there's also an art or a science of growing the plant properly or most effectively, so that the plant grows up nicely from a seed, and then eventually the leaves come out very nicely, and finally we get some flowers or we get some fruit. And when we get that final maturity of the plant, then we feel very satisfied. Of course, for the human being, then we can take the flower or the fruit and use it for our own use. But apart from that, the farmer or the gardener will get satisfaction just in cultivating that plant and seeing how it matures. And if you can do that with a minimum of artificiality, from using natural things, then he gets great satisfaction from that. Or we can say if a person has a child, then the mother and father, they're very satisfied when they can see the child grow up nicely. If the child doesn't grow, they get very worried. If the child develops some sickness, they get worried. If the child doesn't speak in time after so many months, they'll get worried. But if the child develops very naturally and they take care of the child and feed him properly or feed her properly, then they're very, very satisfied, and they like to see the child grow up more and more. And when the child is mature, then the parents feel very satisfied in that. There's a little difference, of course, between the human being and the animal or the plant. With a human being, once we're mature, we go on maturing. We have other things to do once we're in an adult state, whereas the plant, for instance, develops fruits and flowers, and then that's the end of the cycle for the plant. But it seems a human being has higher possibilities than that. We grow up, but is that all? And we may produce another family, is that all? And we find that human beings, though they do this, that's not their only satisfaction. Therefore, in any human society, as it develops, we find, as well as supplying the material needs of people so that they can raise their families in a healthy way, we do find other activities going along with that, which we can call the cultural development or the spiritual development of that particular culture. So that also must exist within any human society. And it was there in ancient times, and therefore those societies are quite famous for their remarkable achievements. In the modern world, we don't have a culture. The culture of one country is different from that of another country, and then in the modern world, all the cultures get together and they get discarded or mixed together. So we don't really know which direction to go to after we're matured. But we have to go on living from the age of 20 to the age of 80 or 90. What are we going to do in that time? What's our real goal in life? So that is where we have a big problem. And science doesn't really give us an answer to that problem. It just tells us that you're a bunch of chemicals and whatnot. And sociology will tell us that you organize yourself in such a way to make your mind a little peaceful and have some social relationships. But what is the real goal for the human being? That remains a big question. So we can strive on our own to find an answer to that, and to some succeed. We may have a little success one way or the other. The other alternative is to go to some authoritative source, and then you can look in ancient traditions and see what is a satisfying type of guidance that you can follow to get fulfillment in your life. So we have chosen to follow the path of the Vedas. The Vedas are the most ancient of scriptures in the world, over 5,000 years old, historically speaking, according to modern scholars, and at the same time, very comprehensive, more comprehensive than all the other religions in the world. And in fact, if we look in all religions of the world, we can find that their origins are in Vedic philosophy and theology. So it's a good opportunity for us to get a broad perspective on who we are and what should be our goal in life if we consult the Vedic literatures. Unfortunately, the Vedic literatures are very vast, so we concentrate on a few books only. One of those books is Bhagavad Gita, the other is Srimad Bhagavatam. And there we get the essence of the Vedic teachings. In summary, just to make it very simple, if we want to say what is the final goal in life, we can say the goal in life is love, which is everybody will agree with anyway. But the problem is how to get that love. This is the big controversy. And what is love? So the Vedic literatures give us a very good explanation of what this love means. It is not material love as we know in this world, which is the goal of many people, but it is called spiritual love. So spiritual love involves the individual's relationship, favorable relationship of affection with another spiritual entity, the perfect spiritual entity, who we can call God or Supreme Person. We call him Bhagavan, the person who possesses all attractive qualities, which are eternal, not material. So we can establish a loving relationship between the self and that supreme entity. And what is the result of that? We get satisfaction and happiness or bliss. So love and bliss are more or less synonymous, and that's the goal of the human being. But it is not the bliss or the happiness that we see in animal kingdom or plant kingdom. It's a bliss on another level. That is eternal bliss, which is established only when we get beyond the material body and we start getting onto the spiritual level. So that is the great challenge for humanity, how to get beyond material to spiritual, because very difficult to understand what is spiritual with our material logical mind. So that's why we have to depend on scripture. So as I said, the Bhagavad Gita determines that our goal is love, that love is for Supreme Lord, and there's one condition there. It is unconditional love. It is love without any interest for ourself, only interest of the other person, the object of our love, Supreme Lord. That's called unconditional love. So how to establish that love, spiritual love, which is eternal? So this is the first is defining the goal. So we got the goal from scripture, that is unconditional love. How do we establish that love? So there are many processes. There's gradual process, and then there is quick process. Everybody would prefer the quick process rather than the gradual process, which takes many lifetimes. So the scriptures advise that the quick process is called bhakti yoga, which means simply to try to express that love of God, that unconditional love of God. It's a practice of doing that. We don't have it, so we have to practice that unconditional love for Supreme Lord. So we need the object, Supreme Lord, who is he, what does he do, etc. We need to have some information about that object of our love, and then we have to have activities to express that love. How are we going to practice that love? Yeah. So the scripture explains to us the object of love is a beautiful person. Just as we have people in this material world, and we may idolize them because of their beauty or their qualities or their activities. They may have a fighter or a sportsman has some prowess in a certain field. An actress or an actor has some attractive traits. Another person may have wonderful qualities. So this is the the person who has all the wonderful qualities, the wonderful form, and the wonderful activities, that is the Supreme Person. And it's natural we would have affection for that person. So that's concentrated. Our object of love is concentrated in that form, which we have in the deity in the temple. So that's why we worship a deity in the temple, because that's the concentration of all the wonderful qualities and the form and the activities of the Lord. So we express our devotion there. We can express it through visual seeing. An easier way of doing it is to simply express it through glorification. We all like to glorify someone if we like them. So this process of glorification is very, very powerful. I said Bhakti Yoga is the process. In Bhakti Yoga, the primary process, the most powerful process, is chanting the name of God. That's all. And we'll see within all religions of the world, they do that anyway. They all have a name of God, and they all chant the name of God. So this becomes the primary process in Bhakti Yoga. And for us, the difference between chanting within our movement and others is that we concentrate on the name of Krishna, which means God in his most attractive features. He has the most attractive form, most attractive qualities, and most attractive activities. So what we call this chanting process, we see, is very simple. You simply call out the name of God, and you can do it silently, you can do it slightly audibly, or you can do it loudly, and you can do it with music. So if you see devotees of Krishna chanting with drums and singing, this is glorification of the Lord. A very powerful process to make the connection with that Supreme Lord. So this is our practice for cultivating ourselves to reach that highest level of the human being, which is unconditional love. Okay.